Take a Seat Gaming is one of the oldest gaming communities in the scene. We don't have a big ego about it. We're just better than you. You're now listening to the Take a Seat Tidbits podcast, featuring different hosts and leaders every episode.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Take a Seat Tidbits podcast. I'm your host, TSB King Warthog. With me is my good friend and co-host, Jones TSB. How you doing today, Jonesy?
I'm doing really good, mate. How are you?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. I'm trying to stay inside. This Texas weather has me loving the AC. We got another exciting day here on the Tidbits podcast. Our guest is none other than the man himself, TSB Mango. How's it going today, Mango?
Pretty well. Pretty excited to be here. Been off of work. Good time to relax and chill.
Nice. We're really excited to have you today. Also joining us is the man in charge himself, the LG of Devious Salvation, TSB Balto Storm. Balto, how you doing today, brother?
We chilling, Warthog. We chilling. We just hanging out.
Nice. Very good, man. I love to hear it. You know, Mango has recently been promoted, and today on our episode, we're going to talk to him about his journey to get to the role of Major General in Devious Salvation. And so, first thing I want to ask you is, Mango, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here in TSB.
A little bit about myself. I'm in the Navy, so that's what I do in my personal life. I'm in the Navy. I've been in for about 5.5 years, going strong, hopefully. TSB is like my getaway time. So I originally got recruited in 2021 September by my good friend Play Bunny. We both came from a previous community that was pretty crap, and we both got kicked out. So she came here, and I was so skeptical about joining communities again because, like, after my previous one, I didn't want to join another one. She got me to join, and it's been great ever since. Obviously, TSB has went through it up and downs what I've been in, but it's been great so far since I've been in it. I enjoy the time I spent here so far. At first, I was really skeptical of ranking up because I didn't want to go into that kind of field. I just wanted to enjoy game with people and stuff like that. Until, like, one of my good friends, but I don't really talk to him anymore, Wolfpack reached out to me and got me to, like, start ranking up in the squad. One of the squads I was originally part of, I got recruited into Shadow, who then split 3 days later into Lycan, and I've been part of Lycan since then. Been through my ups and downs when I went through the ranks, and now I'm at MG. It took a while, but time only is the essence, and it's worth the wait, worthwhile. So enjoy my time being here so far.
Awesome. Yeah, that definitely sounds like it was kind of the up and down journey that you had coming from another community. In the other community, did you do any ranking up like you have here in TSB?
Oh yeah, definitely. I got into the rank. It's called General over there, but it's basically like a little bit lower than a director, like almost like a Dibley at the time. So basically,
Nice.
same kind of shit, almost.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so you
we
already
didn't have
came
Discord.
in.
We didn't have Discord. We did all of our stuff on Xbox because it was solely an Xbox community. So, like, we did all of our stuff on Xbox and stuff like that. It was kind of a hassle, but we did all of our stuff on Xbox, and we had a website and stuff like that. And it was just like cool to like come over to TSB where everything is on Discord and like one place to access it. So that's really good.
Everything's so organized here. I'm sure it was a breath of fresh air. So tell me, what does a typical day look like for you on, inside the Discord server or dealing with the people inside your squads?
Well, typically I wake up in the morning and check Discord, see if like anything. I do have some, obviously Jonesy over here in the UK. I do have people on the different side of the world that reach out to me, hit me up and stuff. So I respond to those people sometimes. Then typically I go to work for the day, but once I get off, I typically hit up some people like, hey, I'm about to get on in a couple like minutes, like see who's on, see who's willing to play, who wants to play something. typically that's day-to-day operations, really. I handle some things that come up or any problems or things that come up. I just go ahead and take care of those real quick that are waiting me. But mostly, I just hit up people or just hit up people who was online and join people's parties in this game for the most part.
Yeah, keeping that activity flowing, letting them know that the big dogs are still here with you, right?
Yeah, definitely. Just because like you go up and rank doesn't mean you can't play with that certain person. Doesn't mean you can't talk to that certain person. Like I have friends that been up the ranks with me an hour like sergeant. I still talk to them. Like rank doesn't matter at that point. Once you're on Xbox, rank does not matter. Like you're all the same. You all have the same abilities, the same options, same click. You can click the same buttons. Play the same games. It's like all the same. So like there's no really rank on Xbox. So over there,
Yeah,
we're
that's
just
one thing I
chilling.
really enjoy about TSB is that there's no, like, the judgment goes out the window no matter what your situation is. Everyone here is so accepting. I know that we came up in DS a little bit together as well, and I remember you always being in, like, all the parties, everyone hanging out and, having a good time. Speaking of rank structure and whatnot, when you were coming up through the ranks, and getting your training and everything, which rank was it that you would say was your most difficult or that you spent the most time in?
Colonel. Uh, I would say Colonel is one of the most difficult jobs, or not ranks in TSB, and the most fun, depending on what kind of person you are. Honestly, Colonel for me was I enjoyed it. Like, I'm not trying to jinx myself here, Balto, but if I had a chance to go back, I would love to. But obviously, I'm MG now. But as a Colonel, it was like the best like thing you can do in TSB because like your sole job as a Colonel is to like interact with the squad, build activity, build the squad up, like be there for your members. Like obviously you can be there for everybody in the division or TSB as in global, but as far as your role as a colonel, you're focusing on like those 60 members that you have in your squad, like those members that are part of the squad that you either created and became the name of, made the name up and made the color up and showed the color and everything. Like that's your squad that you created when you become colonel. So like it takes really like a boost and morale to like be a colonel because best thing ever. Obviously, being colonel is not the easiest job because you have to do a lot of things. You have to maintain those many people. Also, being a colonel helps you in like real life how to like manage people, how to like be there for people, and like just manage a group of like people as a leader. But also like the difficulties of becoming colonel because like obviously some things don't work for your members, so you run into those hard spots like I did. I ran into a hard spot as a colonel. I almost got my squad merged a long time ago, but then some things happened and I overcame those obstacles and now I'm here on where I'm at. So I think colonel is the most difficult but most rewarding and most fun rank you can be here. Because not gonna lie to you, once you get to the rank BG, it kind of gets a little boring after a while. You're kind of just there, just monitoring, supervising, and then just
Making sure everyone's
respecting.
doing their job.
Yeah. People come to you with problems as far as colonel, like people can still come to you with problems, but you're like kind of like the middleman for everything. As when you get to this staff, like everybody just comes to you and like typically like not that many problems arise. So typically this day to day is kind of boring. It's not really boring in aspect. You're not doing anything in the Discord, but boring aspect like if you don't have like a real job to do at the time, you're out there game, which is good. Like it's perfect. That's what we're here for, the game. So as a role, like it basically feels like a break when you get to the role BG because you get to like actually focus on gaming with people because you don't really have a solo job like to do every day because it comes up based on like what happens on day-to-day process.
Yeah. And I bet you have even less to do whenever you have good colonels underneath you that are doing their jobs.
Oh yeah, definitely. I have to like honestly, Jonesy here is one of my former colonels who recently got promoted to BG. Like he made my life a lot easier as a BG when I was when all that situation happened when recently with DS and I was over 5 squads. Like he made my life. He was one of the colonels that made my life a lot easier as a BG because as when the whole thing happened, I was stuck with like 2 colonels another way and I had to be acting colonels of 2 squads. He made my life a lot easier as a BG. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say I've always said that the colonel's rank, it always felt to me like it's the last rank that you're in the trenches with your guys, where you're in there worrying about the goals, worrying about the game nights, worrying about all that stuff, and helping them get to their point where they can be successful leaders after you rank up. It's like that last role that you have to actually be down there with your guys before you go
Yeah.
up, and you're kind of in the headquarters portion of things.
Yeah, most definitely. That's why you see when BGs get the chance to have to like play the role of colonel, because like either the colonel goes away or gets demoted, or whatever happens to the colonel, like they get to play that role of acting colonel. Like you see a big boost in that, because like as us BGs and up, like we don't get to really do that because we don't want to interfere with the colonel and their responsibility. So like we let them run the squad, do whatever they want with the squad. So we don't really interfere with that. But once we get the chance to be an acting colonel, like we love it. Like that's what speak for me. I don't know about the other BGs, but for me, when I was BG acting colonel, like obviously it was stressful when I was doing it for both squads, but like when I got the chance to do it, it was like a base like yay for me, because like I actually enjoy that kind of stuff. It was my time to actually branch out, especially when like it's over a squad that you never was a colonel over, like just a new squad that you're just over, you know. So it's best to like better chance to like actually meet the officers in the squad, meet the members in the squad, and play with like a bunch of new people, and
Right,
actually
get down in there in
with
those
them.
chat lines.
And when you're acting colonel, like people don't see you as like, oh, he's the big guy, he's the BG, he's like in div staff. They don't see you as that when you're acting colonel, like because you're actually down there working with them. Like kind of like one thing, like when I first thing like come acting colonel is like I do the goals, I do like the same job as my other officers, so they see, oh, I'm real shit, like I'm down there with them, you know. So
Yeah. Go ahead, Jonesy.
Thank you. One of my questions is, obviously you being a MG now, when you were a colonel and like you were trying to push for a split and you had like one, maybe two more officers to get, how would you inspire your members to rank up?
I'm gonna be truly honest with you, I never really pushed for a split. I just like was just mad chilling and enjoyed being a colonel. I just let the process guide myself. Honestly, like I went through my ups and downs as colonel. Like I said, it took me almost a full year to become a BG. I didn't really mind that too much. I just really focused on this being my members. It will come during time. Obviously, if you want to make a push, you can. But like for me, I didn't push to become a BG. I just let things flow with the meter, you know, because obviously I almost lost my squad at one point, and I just built it back up. And I had my ups and downs with officers stepping down, officers want to rank up. It takes a process. It really comes down to as your squad, your officer staff, and yourself as a whole team getting together. Like, hey, we need to like reach out, see if these like members want to rank up, so on and so forth. Right? It's about just finding those people. At one point, I ran into a dead patch for like a few months where nobody in my squad want to rank up, so I legit had to like recruit future officers in. That's like kind of like why I did recruit future officers in, because some of my officers are getting like overwhelmed, because at one point I was down to two officers and it was just me and two officers grinding everything out. So like they were starting to get overwhelmed with stuff, and some of them took LOAs, so the workload kind of got a little bit more. So at that point I started recruiting for more officers, and obviously I found the officers I needed. So I want to say like focus on pushing for a split, focus on just like let the split come to you, because that's what I did, and obviously it worked out for me. So
Yeah. And so what squad did you actually split?
so I split the squad called Lycan, who is not around anymore. Some difficulties happened. We had to merge that squad too. But I split Lycan, and the other squad that got created off of Lycan was called Valhalla. Those are the two squads I was over. The first two squads I was over when I became BG.
Okay. Very cool. Now, I got a question for you, Balto, in regards to when Mango was ranking up and going through the ranks of Major and Colonel and all that. Do you remember seeing anything or like remembering anything about his leadership style that stood out to you while he was ranking up?
He's always been a very confident leader. At least he shows he's a very confident leader, and he's confident in his own abilities. He's confident in the people under him, and overall, he he hangs out with his people. He makes sure that his people are taken care of, and whether that's the whole division, whether that's his squad, he makes sure that they are taken care of. And that's always a huge quality for a leader that's very underrated. And that's a big reason why he's still here today, why he's so successful.
Oh yeah, whenever you get down in there in the ranks with the people and you let them know that you really do care about them and they're not just a number on a page, you can really get in there and create some loyalties. I know that that's one thing that we've been talking about, me being a major and all that, and going up through the ranks is we want to create a loyal group of people that can depend on us whenever we finally get up to those ranks where you guys are.
And just to sorry, just to add on to that question, Boto, is when obviously you're an OG. When you were looking for another MG, what sort of qualities would you see in Mango? Like when he was a BG, what would you look for a BG to become an MG? So what stood out?
Really, what stood out about Mango is that from day one since I took over DS, whenever the whole incident happened, he's been my number one guy. He's helped me out tremendously in every way I can ask for. Everything I've asked, he's done, and he's been my guy. If I need him to do something, he's on it like that. And it really wasn't even a question of I was looking for an MG as much as just he was at the spot. So normally MGs don't get chosen too often. Whenever there's only like, two BGs, one BG, something like that. But in this case, I felt Mango deserved it, so I made a call. And so far it's worked out perfectly. So I can ask for a better guy to help me win this division.
Yeah, you
Also,
can't
to add on
deny
to
hard
that,
work.
well, I did not know that was happening. Like legit, the reason why I pushed for I also I don't know if you knew this, Jones, but I recommended you for the promotion for VG. The reason I did that is because I saw that you were kicking ass in your squad. You ran into some struggles, and you can't obviously I didn't want those struggles to hold you back because your majors were kicking ass, and they you can't really teach them anymore as an active colonel anymore. You can't really teach them more. Stuff you can teach them later on is when they're actually colonels and you're their BG, right? I recommend you promotion because you're kicking ass. The only struggle you're running into was officer staff. You couldn't get an officer staff to stick.
Yeah,
That's a block that's every colonel's gonna run into. This you run into 3 or 4 times. So I was like, let's see if we can roll this. Honestly, I wasn't expecting my promotion to MG. I was mainly pushing you because you deserve the spot as well as to become a VG. And then also I just ran into some things personally that I couldn't really commit some full time to being an acting colonel and a BG at the same time. So I voiced that opinion to Balto, and here we are.
and I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Typically promotions for BG comes from splitting your squad, and then case by case basis it will happen to a colonel that is kicking ass as a colonel position that deserves position as BG. So that rarely happens. Most of the time when you see a BG promotion, it comes from a squad splitting.
Right. And speaking of that, you mentioned that you had put in the recommendation for the promotion up to BG for Jonesy here. Whenever you're building your next kind of group of leaders, what do you do on a daily basis to build others into leaders? What do you try and let them learn from you, or what is some of the traits that you try and pass down?
Big one that's number one for me that I teach my guys at work actually, is put yourself in their shoes. Put yourself in their shoes. That's one. Two is put if you're trying to train someone to eventually take your spot, one, or just and what I do with my guys, obviously eventually they're gonna replace me when I leave that command, when I transfer to somewhere else the Navy wants to send me. I basically train them hey, what would you do if you were the guy making these decisions? I put them in my shoes. I put them in my shoes hey, I asked them for their opinion, hey, I'm having this issue. Like, I have to make this call. What are you guys' opinions? I mainly put them on the spot, see where their mindset's at. And if their mindset's not in the right spot, I tweak it a little bit, help them out. Like
All right. Yeah, just kind of
that. I got
instill good habits into people.
good habits, and then I just make sure they're doing like good stuff for themselves, like stuff to improve their career or stuff like that. So
All right.
What would
And
you
go ahead, Jonesy.
what would you say is like your favorite thing so far about being an MG?
I haven't really um being enrolled with MG. I haven't really gotten I would say I haven't really like stepped into the role yet. I'm still just like learning things, learning how to do it, and also like just like sometimes when you're not, I'm not saying we're lacking div staff. I'm just saying like there's a very few of us, so therefore like everyone we're just working together to like make this division a better place. So like really, there's no really role right now as an MG.
Yeah,
It'll come down further the line when like things come up or like we're trying to better the division by doing these events or these ideas come up. Then obviously my role play a bigger part. But as of right now, my role doesn't play a big part because there's like only 4 of us right now, so right now that the workload is all around. We're working together as a team. Like, yeah, you're a BG over Phoenix, but if you're not available, then I step in. Same thing, vice versa for all other squads, and so we're all this working together. And also, I'm still technically an acting BG over Titan, so I haven't really fully stepped into the MG role yet. So only time will come when I'll answer that question later on.
makes sense. Like you only got the promotion. What was it, Sunday?
3 days ago.
Yeah,
4
so
days
it's
ago.
still very fresh, trying to
Yeah, still,
fit into those big boy shoes still.
yeah, still trying to figure it all out.
No. So moving forward with the roles that you have as an MG, how do you hope to impact the community that you're a part of?
I mean, from the start, since Balto took over the division, like I felt like I had a bigger voice now than I had previously when we had a big div staff at the point. I feel like things are go a lot quicker with us talking about things and having discussions and doing things to better the division. I think the process goes by a lot faster because like we get straight to the point. Um, hopefully, like there's some things I'll like hopefully try to change here soon, but mainly my role is just to see what I'm trying to like fill it out right now. So
No. Do you have any long-term goals that you're trying to accomplish here inside TSP? I'm sure the MG isn't where you expected to kind of settle down.
honestly, like the rank is not that really important to me. Obviously, I wouldn't deny or like be upset if I get the promotion to LG or so on and so forth as my career grows in TSP, but that's not my main focus. Honestly, like what would make my day is the people that I promoted surpass me or get to my level. That's what I want to see. Like some of my trainees are still in the division. Some of them are not in TSB at all. So like the people I've trained, the people that I've worked with, hopefully, like if they want to continue ranking up, hopefully I can get them to where I'm at or in the same field as I am. You know. So far I got one of them, and he's here in this VC. So there you go.
You know,
Count.
and so, with your time here in TSP, you've been here for a while. Is there anything that you've learned in the community, in the gaming community, that you've used in your real life situations?
Yeah, workshops. I wasn't really good at public speaking, especially when I got promotions in the military. Like as you go up rank, the more public speaking you have to do because then they put you in charge of people and like you have to talk to the group, brief them on what the day is going to be, and so on and so forth. Right? You have to like make those calls, make those talks, have those brief meetings and stuff like that. So I would say workshops really like help me better myself in real life with public speaking as a whole. Like
Oh
right
yeah,
now,
I've
if you did
always
this
said
podcast,
that.
if you did this podcast like a year ago, this would not be happening because I would be like stage fright and I wouldn't be talking as much, right? But like
Yeah.
workshops and like me getting older and like me talking more and like be able to like stand in a leadership role has definitely helped me get better at public speaking and just
Oh yeah.
better my job as a leader at work.
Yeah, I've always said that there's a lot of things in the aspects that we do in the clan ops that a lot of these younger members that we have, 16, 17 years old, they don't realize it, but it's going to improve their social experiences outside of TSB as well. And I'm glad you brought up the workshops, because those are, a lot of people don't think that they're a big crucial part of what we do in the clan ops, but I really really like them because they teach people about doing things like that, getting over certain fears. We were in one the other day where a guy he could barely speak, and we just kind of calmed him down, let him know that we were all here, we're all his friends, and next thing you know, he's doing it, and stuff like that. Have you ever been in a situation where you've had to kind of coax someone and kind of relieve that stress that you felt whenever you were in that position, now that you know how to do it in a better manner?
Yeah, definitely. Like I do it a lot at work because I have a lot of junior guys just fresh out of boot camp or just joining the Navy. Don't really know what the like the life is of being in the military or being on a boat. Right? So with my experiences, I just coach them through like, hey, this is what I did. I'm not gonna get like the big thing about me is the best way I teach is I don't give you the answer. I guide you to the answer of making your own choice and finding out the answer yourself. So like with my experiences, I just like warn you. I'm like, hey, that didn't work out for me. I want to do that, and then, like just guide them to the right way or like, the right way how to do things. To be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, and and you mentioned your time in the Navy. I'm sure you use that as like a resource of yours to
Oh yeah, definitely. One of my second workshop, my first workshop was a mock workshop. The one that got for me promoted to LT was like the worst workshop possible. Obviously, like my first official workshop as an officer was a lot better, and I did leadership qualities, and I use like the PowerPoint I use at work. Because I do trainings and I do leadership classes and stuff for my guys at work. So like with that aspect, so I've been a leadership role in the Navy for a while now. It's just public speaking, like talking in front of people was not my thing. I was able to lead people and like to a mission, to a goal, and complete it. Just when it comes to public speaking, like stuff like that, that wasn't my thing. So workshops really helped me. So my first official workshop was I used leadership qualities and stuff like that as a topic, and I knocked it out of the park. So
Yeah, very nice. And so with that, um, what would you say now that you've aged in TSB? What would you say your strongest skill is? Would you say that public speaking is one of your stronger traits now?
if we're talking about TSB wise and gaming community wise, I would say my strongest suit is game nights. Fun fact, don't mean to brag, but to this day I have 100% game night like hosting. I never failed a single game night.
You've never failed a game night. Are you serious?
That's
Never.
really impressive to be.
That is very impressive. I'm gonna kind of shout that out next time whenever we're all hanging out and everything. That is really cool.
I
I've
think
never
like
heard of anyone
And the way
having
I
that,
do it,
especially.
The way I do it is I don't base off the games I want to play. I base off the games that the division or my squad is playing at the time. So obviously you see me now playing a lot of Siege because I'm so used to playing Siege because some of the people I play with are from my old squad, and my squad Lycan was mainly a Siege and Apex kind of squad. Obviously no squad is a game type squad, but that's what my squad wanted to play, and that's what they play. I was never really a big Siege player before I joined TSB. I was really into like that was Apex and like some of the games that you see me play now, I was never into or never played. I was mainly a COD player, 2K player, UFC player. But when I joined TSP, those are the only three games I played, and Halo. I was mainly those stuck to those two games. Like I only ask people, "Hey, you want to play some COD? Hey, you want to play some COD?" Or want to play some 2K? Like those are the only two games I would like really play. Until I started ranking up, I started expanding my like genre of like what I played and stuff. So when I started hosting game nights, I thought it made sense to me. And one of my old colonels at the time, his name is Pricey, he told me like this host game nights that your squad plays so you get the maximum attendance, because if you host game nights that the games that people are playing, they want to play with you and then they want to stay in TSP, because the whole point of this gaming community is to game with people and meet new friends, right? So like if you do it that way, you will basically never fail.
Yeah, I
That's
remember
the biggest place.
like one of my very first game nights I ever done failed because I did it on I think it was Apex, and this was like my first week as a lieutenant, so it was like my second week into TSB, and I completely forgot to like shout it out and stuff. It was just a big mess and it failed instantly, so it's really impressive to hear like you're still got 100% like ratio on game nights.
Mhm.
Maybe you should retire from it. Keep your 100% score.
Yeah, you need to Mayweather that thing.
Right now I'm kind of like this like not this floater right now, 'cause I'm letting like the officers and the members host game nights, because they post a lot of game nights, like a lot of game nights throughout the week. So like, and it doesn't match up with my schedule, so like I just join them and like have someone at least there for their game night. I join like pretty like that's what I mainly do when I get on. I join game nights. I join game nights and just join parties, and if that, and I just play mainly Siege, because some of the members play Siege and they always invite me, and or just like that, just join game nights.
Yeah. Now, I want to get Balto in on this conversation. But first, I'm going to ask you, Mango. I'm going to ask you both this same question. But we've been talking a lot about your strengths, Mango, and what you really bring to the table as a leader. I think one thing that interests me and a lot of the people that would be listening to this is, what's something that you personally think that you could do to become a better leader? And Balto, you can jump in on this if you have something that comes to mind,
One thing that everyone can do, be better at as a leader, is don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and do the work alongside your members. Lead by example and all that. That people always say it, but it's true. You want to make sure you're leading by example. You're doing the work with them, because people, and this comes from me too, being before I became a BG colonel, I was a lifelong major, captain, officer for 2-3 years, roughly. And the people I respected the most were the people who were right alongside me, doing goals, recruiting, doing activity checks and all that. People who were putting the work in. So no matter what your rank is, you can be a sergeant, you can be a recruit even, or you can be even a director. And so long as you continue to put in that work with your members and hang out with them, build relationships, then you will be a good leader. That's going to be a tried and true method, and it's something I highly recommend everyone do.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think, along those same lines, like with me being a major myself and moving up through the ranks, I think one thing that I could better myself in my leadership style is I find myself, I don't really have a lot of patience for things. Like whenever I'm sending out DMs and trying to get the answers to things, or whenever I'm trying to get people to complete their goals, trying to get my captains and lieutenants to kind of get onto the same schedule, I find myself not really having a lot of patience there. And so, I know that that's one thing that a lot of people struggle with moving up in leadership. But, it's really cool to sit here and think, when asked a question like that, and, yourself, Mango, and even, you, Balto, you sound like you're a really great leader, because, I can even attest to that, because coming up through the ranks, You've always been there. You've always asked us or answered those questions. You've been patient with people, things like that. And so it's really reassuring to know that the new div leaders that are coming up and what was, I mean, we took a big hit there for a little bit in DS and we lost a lot of our leaders, and to have people coming up that have, just kind of the leadership values that we talk about in workshops and things like that, whenever we took that big hit and started, whenever we took that hit and started losing a lot of our leadership staff, kind of go through a little bit of a panic session there, or did y'all kind of come together and understand that y'all were going to work things out?
For me, I kind of like took a big step up a little bit. I noticed that things weren't going away, so like I didn't really get involved with like the mess. I legit just kept my eye out, like monitoring, make sure like what I can see, take from this, and like let things kind of like sort of self out. But I did keep in contact with mainly Balto. That's the person like I was in number one contact with the whole time the whole issue happened with all the leadership, because it's the only one I saw like everyone else was just giving me sketchy vibes. I was like, okay, this person's possibly gonna leave. So didn't really like associate myself with those people because I knew who for sure is one that are gonna like leave. Cause they already show their colors. So I just like kind of kept to myself a little bit and monitored, kept my eyes on things, and then kind of like stepped up when the time was needed.
Just to expand onto that, Mango, obviously, when you hit the rank of BG, you have permission to kick people and ban people. Now, as an MG, what are some kind of like, I guess, what do you kind of look for, or what do you keep an eye out for, just in case you have to like ban someone or kick someone? What are the types of things that you have to look out for just to make sure it doesn't happen before it's like too late and it's happened already?
The biggest thing that's been happening since I became a BG and since I was able to get the permission to ban people and stuff. Surprisingly, I mean, it's a bad thing, but it's kind of fun a little bit when you get to do it. Not gonna lie,
I haven't
but
done it yet.
but the thing I look for is like what recently been happening is a lot of like sexual stuff, like racist stuff, and a lot of this like discriminating stuff, like disrespectful stuff. Like, I look for that mainly, and I kind of like know the signs already that something's about to go down. So I'm there to prevent it most of the time, but sometimes they get past. So mainly, I'm
Yeah.
just looking for the big things that violate code of conduct. That's the main things. I mean, like little stuff that people get in arguments. People argue. That's like what we're here for. Most of the time, you're gonna argue because we're in the gaming community. Like obviously, if someone does pretty badly at a game, you're gonna get mad because you're playing competitively sometimes. So
Yeah.
arguments happen. I don't really kick people over arguments. I don't really ban people over arguments. I never have actually. That's like a petty reason to do that. Honestly, you have to like it's a case by case basis, not based off what's happening at the time. Is when you're gonna make that call. Normally, I like to see the whole problem through before I fully click the button. Obviously, if based off if the person wants to cooperate with you or not. If they don't, then you're kind of like your hands are tied at that point, and they have to go, or they're basically digging their own hole at that point. They don't want to cooperate. But typically, if like someone has messed up in a big way and they are coming forward and cooperating with you, trying to sort it out, then typically a strike or warning or something like that is deemed worthy. But depending on the severity of the case, kick or ban is more or less what happens.
Yeah.
Because typically people don't like people. Like it's all hard to admit, but like even sometimes myself, people don't like to admit when they're wrong or they did something wrong.
Yeah.
That's a thing with me. I'm still working on a little bit. Like I mean, I got a lot better. I know when to admit myself wrong, but sometimes I get stubborn and I like don't like to be wrong sometimes. So the big thing for a lot
Yeah.
of people these days is they don't want to be wrong. So therefore, they like to argue and fight their way out of it, even though they're wrong. And that tends to lead to some bans and some removals.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that sounds like
I
an
get that.
interesting situation to be a part of. I've never been involved in the decision makings or the investigations portion of TSB, and I can imagine that that gets a little daycare-ish sometimes with a lot of I know that we do have a lot of younger kind of immature members that go out there, and a lot of people like to push people's buttons just to have fun. So I can imagine that can get pretty interesting.
mhm.
I've got one more question for you, Mango, that I can think of. Well, one more main question, anyways. What is, obviously, you're an MG now, so what is like your very basic, I'd say, like, what is it that you do as an MG? What is an MG's job role?
Well, MGs typically are over 2 BGs, so it's like the same thing, and then obviously 2 BGs are over 4 squads. You're there as a kind of like a backup to the BG, right? You're there for you're basically how how the BGs are there, or a BG over a colonel. You're technically the same for a BG. You're like their backup. So a BG is a backup to a colonel. I'm a backup to a BG. So it's there to like have each other's back and like keep each other in check most of the time. Because obviously, like if we have these ranks and orders, like people will just making their own decisions and things will be chaotic. So like typically MG's role is to like kind of oversees the BGs and like make sure they're like doing their job the right way, stuff like that. Main thing for MG is like you get a little bit more responsibility. So like you're in charge of everything. Like Balto, for example, has put me in charge of like some of the stuff in the server. Like obviously put me in charge of the suggestion box and stuff like that. So I'm like capable of like making decisions of like what new things come in the server and what things get removed from the server and stuff like that. So that's kind of my big role right now. Another MG role is like you get kind of like you're like one of the final says in like what happens. Obviously Balto is the final say, but you're typically the second guy that makes like the call. Like, hey, like you're like the one of the last people that makes like the decision, or not decision, but like the argument. Like, hey, we should do this, or hey, we shouldn't do this.
So it's like promotions and stuff. You'll be like one of the last people to actually say like, yeah, I think they deserve this promotion.
Yeah,
Like that.
especially promotions or demotions. Like, I'll let the whoever is voting for the promotion or wants the promotion or wants the demotion, like whoever's like putting that person up, I let them sort it out. And I let the other like people under me discuss it, and then I'll put my 2 cents in, and then we'll go on with the process. But as of right now, like I haven't really set in that role yet because as of this staff right now, we're just all together, working together. Like there's some days that Wakeful or you yourself will probably be doing stuff, and I'll be just chilling on the sidelines. You'll be doing stuff with Balto, vice versa. You'll be doing stuff with me. Like what day to day things change every day, every week. So it's not like for certain right now, but like once you get more div staff, then you'll see more like an order structure and how things are really ran. But right now we're just all together as a team trying to make this division grow. So
Bolter, moving on to you. With obviously you've obviously assisted and trained Mango to get to MG. You said earlier that he deserves this promotion. He deserved it a while ago. Do you think if Mango was to push for it, obviously anything's possible if people put their mind to it and push for it. Do you think if he tries hard enough and proper pushes and takes in like all of the information and stuff, do you reckon he'd be able to get to LG in a shorter period of time as a normal LG would?
I'm gonna say no for one reason. A lot of the upper div staff, so your MG promotions, your LG, General, Division Lead, those promotions are not as much as the person who is getting promoted. as much as do you have the need for that promotion? Do you have the need for that rank? Do you have the people around them so that way they can get promoted? Because, like I said, Mango honestly deserved this a while ago. He deserved it 3 months ago. But we just did not have the BGs for me to justify being able to put him up. And obviously, I also was an MG at the time, so can't really have, two MGs running things. That would create kind of a little bit of a power struggle. So,
Yeah.
you just you got to keep it slow and steady and make sure that you're building around your strengths. So build people around Mango, build people around my two BGs that I have right now, and just overall continue building your staff so that whenever they do deserve those promotions, they have the opportunity to get those promotions. But
Yeah.
another thing as well to that, especially as a division leader, one of the top division leaders, is you can't really focus on, oh, when is this person going to get promoted? When is that person going to get promoted? You have to kind of take a step back and look at the entire division, and with every decision that you make, your number one focus has to be, is this going to impact the division in a positive way? Every
Yeah.
decision you make comes with that. So obviously, if I really wanted to, I could probably have, 8 BGs right now if I really wanted to. But
Yeah.
that is not going to be positive for division because that would leave multiple squads without colonels and majors. That would just deficit the division if you did something like that. So, as observant as some people may be, you also have to keep in mind the squads, the division. There's a lot of factors that go into a promotion. So, whenever one does have the ability to be made, it's always a very good thing. Because that means that not only has Mango earned his promotion, but as a division, we were able to earn the right to promote Mango, earn the ability to be able to promote him for his work as well as the division's work.
Yeah.
Right. It sounds like a promotion in that area is also dependent on the promotions around him and the quality of officers and div staff that are being brought up as a support system with him.
Yep. As a past, sorry, what? It'll be like one of my last ones. As a past MG photo, how well do you think Mango will succeed or will perform as an MG?
Already, he's really been acting as my MG for a quick second here. To be honest with you, he's been my go-to second-hand guy, right-hand guy. So I have no doubts that he's going to be a great MG, great LG, great whatever he decides to do, because he has leadership skills, he has the experience. He's one of the longest standing uppers in DS now, and he's been around the block for a while, so he's seen things. The benefit of our predecessors, they had a very organized way of doing things, and we had the fortune to have a good amount of dev staff to where everyone could take their time and learn their role. So due to that, he was able to get more experience with actual situations, spectate on different investigations, different scenarios that happened in real life, in day-to-day operations. And after they were gone, then he got the ability to be able to actually put that to the test and, be a leader, really. Because as great as the system before us was, the only issue was it had so many chains that the lower leaders really didn't get much. I wouldn't say get much of a shot, because we did have our shot to put input on things. We learned a lot, good deal. But
Yeah.
we did not have the ability to really say, hey, this is what I want for division. We're going to do this. Because we had many people above us telling us, okay, no, this is what we're going to do instead. Now, whether that's right or wrong, I'm not going to go into that depth. But the good thing now is that you have much less of a leash.
Yeah.
Once you lose a little bit of that structure, then now you have a lot more freedom. That's how it was for me when I was MG and everything happened. I had a lot more freedom to go form the division how I want it to be, do what I wanted to do with the division. And I believe that's what Mango will have the opportunity to do now that he's MG. Because he has a lot more release now. I basically trust him to do whatever he believes is right for the division. So,
Yeah, and being a member of the old Div staff leadership and the new Div staff leadership that's currently growing, I'm really excited to see what you two bring to the table. I know that the two of you are a really great couple of guys. I've known both of you now for about a year and a half. I know that y'all are both upstanding dudes. I have one thing I do like to ask all of our leadership staff whenever I get them into one of our podcasts is I like to ask, as a leader, is there anyone underneath you in your division that you see is overachieving and working hard for what they have that you would want to shout out and kind of give them some recognition so that they can understand that what they're doing doesn't go unnoticed?
Yeah. Sorry, I'll let go first. I like to shout out well, one of the BGs, Wakeful. He's actually been the one that's helps me a lot too. When he got promoted to BG, we worked in tandem together with everything. He's been there since the start, even when he was a colonel and I was a colonel. We bounced off each other most of the time. So I like to give out a shout out with all the hard work he does. He is always willing to help me out whenever I need it or help anyone out. When I was running into a scheduling thing with work, he was there for my squad when I wasn't able. I shot messages of like, hey man, I'm having a schedule. Like, do you mind running this meeting for me or doing this with my squad? I was set to do this with them, but I can't right now. He would fill in for me, and he would always be there. When I was the only BG at the time when all the situation happened, I was a BG over 5 squads. Him and Jones were the two people that took the weight off my shoulders a lot. I felt the stress. I felt the weight on my shoulders. I was like, damn, I'm really a BG over 5 squads. BGs are only supposed to be a BG over 2, let alone 3, maybe 3 at a time. And I was over 5, acting coming over 2 at the time. So I would give a special shout out to Wakeful for all the hard work and help he has given me since this whole process started.
Very cool. Wakeful is a good buddy of mine. I can attest to his hard work. He's in there every day pushing. What about you, Balto? You got someone you want to shout out?
I'll add on a little bit to Mango's. Wakeful has been there, and I'll get to this in a little bit as well. All the people who stood up with us whenever the whole incident happened, all those people took a tremendous weight off of my back. It was a difficult time whenever everything happened, and it happened so suddenly. But the people who stayed, they're better for it. Wakeful, he didn't get the BG traditional out. I promoted him because I knew Mango needed some assistance, and Wakeful has been, even as a colonel, he was offering assistance to every single squad who needed it, and he's always been able to help people, as well as just be there if they want to hang out. So another big shout out to Wakeful. Jones, over in Phoenix, he very rarely causes me any troubles, as much a troublemaker he is. And overall, he's been a great leader, a great role model for his squad, and I think did the better for it. He has 2 very, very talented majors that have been doing very good, and that's a direct result of his training. So special shout out to Jonesy here, special shout out to JC. He was put in a little bit of a tough position whenever everything happened because he was pretty close with some of the people who left, and he was put in a little bit of a tough position. But thankfully, he stayed out, and he's been a kick-ass colonel since. He's been helping make sure Helix stays as one of the top squads in DS, and he's been an overall phenomenal leader for us. Trippy, she was on LOA whenever everything happened, but once she got back, she kicked right back into gear, and she's once again been a phenomenal leader. Her squad's been going very well. They're fairly close to splitting. So she's done a phenomenal job as a colonel. And, like I said, everyone who stayed has helped me tremendously take a big weight off my shoulder.
Awesome. It sounds like you definitely have a team of all-stars over there in DS.
Ain't that the truth?
Awesome. You know, this has been really enjoyable. I've liked talking about this. I had a great time here today. I hope everyone else had a great time. Jonesy, how you feeling?
I've had a really good time. Obviously, first podcast. I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed speaking to both Mango and Bolto, and of course you, Warthog. Yeah, it's been a really enjoyable time, and yeah, let's just keep kicking ass.
Oh yeah, man, this was awesome. You know, I want to thank our guests, Mango and Balto, for joining us today, sharing their stories, their wisdom, their points of view. Thank you guys, man. Did y'all have a good time?
Yeah, it was a really good time. I didn't really expect this to happen, like with the things we talked about. So pretty good.
Yeah, hell yeah. It was a very fun time. It was great to talk to y'all. Great to reminisce a little bit and get to brag on Mango a little bit. He deserves the award. So thank y'all for giving us the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and Mango, congratulations on that promotion, man. You definitely deserved it. I can't wait to see what you do for DS and where your leadership is going to take everyone over there. It's a really exciting time for everyone in TSB. You know, and listen, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be a part of ours. We love each and every one of you. To all of our members in TSB, you know, we enjoy having you here. Don't miss out on any upcoming shows. Hit that follow button, that like button. We want to continue bringing people together, introducing our community to everyone. Let's keep brightening the days. You know, I'm your host, TSB King Warthog. I'm with Jones TSB. Jones, you want to sign out?
Yep, I will hopefully be back in a podcast soon. But yeah, obviously, thank you guys for having me. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm off. I will speak to you in a bit.
Cool. You know, this was the Take a Seat Tidbits podcast. We hope everyone out there listening has a great day. And always grab a chair and take a seat.